Just want to give you a heads up. I'm running Python in a tool called Python Anywhere. I'd like you to stick with using idle.
This lesson is on the break and continue statement that can be used inside of a loop to control it in a little bit more detailed way. We've got grocery list, goes through and it does a while loop. It just keeps prompting us to enter a grocery item, puts it in there, and as long as it's not equal to quit, it'll print it out. Okay, so that's what we saw before. But I can do this in a different way. I can do this in a couple different ways. Let's go ahead and run this real quick again just so you can see it. Make sure that, so grocery item, apples, and then pears, and then quit. Okay, so we showed just apples, pears. If we enter quit, we don't print quit because that item is not equal to quit. And if it's not equal to quit, we would print it, but it was equal to quit because that's what I typed in, so it ended. Okay, so now let's play around with the break. I could have done this in a similar way, but it used positive logic. I could have said if item lower is equal to quit, then put the word break here. Now, I don't want this print to be part of the if statement, so I'm pulling it back in indentation. The thing about Python is it enforces indentation, and it uses that to understand where things begin and end within while loops and for loops and if statements and that sort of thing. So here we are. So what this does is it checks to see that we're not quit, prompts us for a grocery item, put it in the item. Now we check, is it quit? Did I put in quit? Well, if I put in quit, the next thing it does is something called a break. A break essentially says, get out of the loop. Just skip and go down past the loop to whatever is the next line. In this case, it's just one line, but it could be 1,000 lines. It's whatever the program needs to do. It bounces out of the loop immediately once it hits the word break. And then it skips then printing this item, which it would otherwise print every iteration. So let's save that and give that another run. It should behave very similarly. Okay, and we'll put in apples, pears, and now put in quit. Ta-da, did the same thing, same idea, but it's nice to ask the question in a positive. Are you equal to quit? Well, if so, get out of Dodge. Now, let's say I want to allow for the condition where someone just hits the enter key. They don't enter any value. Okay, so I'm going to take out here, I'm going to say if item lower equals quote. I can use either double quote or single quote. Either is fine. They're interchangeable in this case, but you got to end with the one that you started. So remember, this is called an empty string. There's really nothing in between. It's not even a space. So it's saying if the item entered is nothing, which is what it will be if I just hit the enter key and I don't put anything, go back here and ask the question again, because I really want them to put something in. So I'm going to put in the word continue here. Okay. In fact, I'll prompt them here. I'm going to say print, hey, enter something. Okay, just to get their attention. Okay, and then I'll come back and I'll ask them with the input. So the goal is if I hit a blank or if I just hit the enter key, that I'll come back and I'll reprompt. So what continue does, wherever you encounter it inside of a loop, even if the loop has got 100 lines in it, it says stop here, but don't go to the end of the loop and go on your merry way for the program. Instead, stop here and go back up to the while statement and try to process another iteration of the code. So let's try this. Save it, and then I'll run it. Okay, so I'll put in the first item, apples. Good, now I'm just going to hit the enter key. That says, hey, enter something. Enter a grocery item for your list. I'll hit the enter key again. It says, hey, enter something. All right, pears. Put in pears, I hit the enter. Now I could hit blank again. It says, hey, enter something. And I finally say, okay, I'm done with this. So I put in the word quit, and it hit the quit this time, and it bounced out. Okay, because it wasn't nothing when I entered. It was the word quit. I found quit. I broke out of the loop and I'm done, and I just printed end of list and it's all over. So the break and continue can give you a finer degree of control. Now, here's where I'm going to tell you something that some purists will really disagree with. But hey, I'm the teacher, so I'm going to show you a technique that I often use. I find this stuff kind of awkward. Like if I know I want the user to enter quit to end the loop, I don't like to stick it up here in the condition. So what I put in there is where I put the word true. Oops, with a colon. Okay, so what this says is run this loop over and over again. Here, when you put while true, you are taking responsibility to quit this loop or break the loop truly, break out of this loop at some point and some condition. So you're going to take control to stop it. So since I'm checking here for quit, then I'm confident that the user is going to do that. Now, there's nothing in the code here that told the user to enter the word quit. So I could put some information or enter quit, to give the user some information if they weren't intimately familiar with this application. So I'll put that in there just to give some user information. So let's try it now. And now again, I put while true. I didn't repeat the quit condition up there. Let's go ahead and run it. And I'll try to do basically the same thing I did before and make sure it behaves that way. Apples. Enter. Says, hey, enter something. I could, no, hey, enter something. All right. Pears. Enter, hey, enter something. All right, now I'm going to say quit. Or I can say quit, but I got to type it. Quit, and it quit the list. So I didn't really have to put that complexity up here. It only has a little bit of risk if you do it this way, because if you're not sure you have a condition in there where someone can enter something to break out of the loop, or if you're later on learning how to read through a file and encounter a condition that you're sure will cause the loop to be complete and it'll hit the break statement, then don't do this. But if you feel confident like I was here, then you can do that and just simplify the while loop a little bit. Again, some purists may disagree with me and they may say that's a bad practice. So take it with a grain of salt. It's something that I use in my coding. All right, this ends the lesson on continue and break. And remember these while loops and for loops and continue and breaks as we go on in the future part of the class, because we are going to use them in other ways. And this ends the lesson on continue and break.